what should our expectations be as a fan based upon what you've seen so far?
Expectations or reality? Because those are two different things.
I'm more of a realist when it comes to my fandom, so I'll take a realistic approach.
Okay. So realistically, I don't feel like coaches get like the real identity of their players until after non-conference. And then also that really depends on what your non-conference schedule was. So if you are able to see your team fight on a regular occasion, whether they lost or won, it's better if it's both, right? If you're able to see your team play with a lead, if you've seen your team be able to play from behind, you get a much better understanding of your players. Now, I will say this year is going to be very weird because not only is this a new team, new coaching staff, everything, the Big Ten is completely revamped. So like, you have no idea what conference is going to look like. It's not, you have an idea usually what conference is based off of last year, right? Because it's usually the same people, the same idea of a team, coaches, the whole nine. So you can kind of see where you're going to fit. This year, it's so different. USC, UCLA, Oregon, all of these teams you never played are all of a sudden now on your schedule. So this year is going to be difficult to figure out what your team is or where you guys could potentially go because of the variables of this being a completely revamped conference and new team, new coach, new everything. So I think that as a coach, the best that you can do in this situation is just kind of say to yourself, okay, if we do this, we might be in a good spot. Does that make sense?
Just real quick. They're without question in my mind. She won't say this, but without question in my mind, they are a tournament team right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like without question. You said what? Without question, they are a NCAA tournament team right now.
Oh, that's nice.
Like, what do you mean it's nice? What?
Listen, Cory, I just said it was nice. That's all I said.
Do you agree? Do you agree that as of right now, what we've seen, they are an NCAA tournament team without question right now?
Let me look at the schedule first. And
I agree, but I'm not sure where exactly.
I'm asking you to project. I'm asking you based on what you've seen to evaluate whether this team is NCAA tournament worthy. Based on what you've seen. Okay. All right.
The Big Ten makes me very nervous for them.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm going to be 100% honest with you, because they can do great in their non-conference and then hit a rough patch and then it becomes a problem. So that's the only thing right now. Sure.
They play a gauntlet in the non-conference.
They
don't play the South Carolinas and UConns of the world, but it don't slow down. They got 2 days. They go up to another neutral site and they play a decent Kansas team. I mean, there's a lot of tests and a lot of unique tests. And they go to Cancun and they play down there and they play out in New York. I'm just saying they're going to be tested. Not to mention they have to play Audie Crooks in Iowa State. I think their schedule
and Tennessee
to ready them. Tennessee, their schedule is built to ready them for Big Ten play. I mean, if they go out and beat Kansas on Wednesday, and then I don't even know where they're at after that. Do they go down to Cancun after that? I think it's pretty close to the trip.
I think it's Washington State they play. I don't know where though.
Play Wazoo at some point. So my point is, when they do that, if they just they've won their 2 tests right now, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
They've passed with flying colors.
Yep.
I mean, these games ultimately have not been close in the fourth quarter. So that's all that's why I say at this point, this is a tournament team at this point based on what we've seen. I just can't imagine saying they're not at this point. What have they done to not prove it? They've won on a neutral. They've won on the road. And Kachine, you and I both know this. The road venue tonight at Drake is a more difficult place to play than 90% of Big Ten road games.
Yeah, but Drake's not really. This is weird statement I'm going to say. It's a very hard place to play, but Drake isn't. They always give it a game simply because of the environment and also because of the Iowa connection, right? But Drake's not like this end all be all. Virginia Tech probably going to be bottom of their conference. Let's be honest. So in my mindset, I don't think that we've really proven anything.
Well, let's be very clear. I'm not saying
maybe to like Hawkeye fans, because we ain't know what the hell we was gonna get on the floor. But as far as like As far as like, oh, they done played. This is a tough team. This is a great team. That would be different. I don't think Virginia Tech's going to be a NCAA tournament team. And Drake, maybe. I don't know who's in their conference, so I have no idea. They could possibly be one.
Let me real quick respond to that. Drake is the reigning Missouri Valley Conference champions. They were picked as the preseason favorite. They received 39 of 48 first place votes. Dinabir was the preseason player of the year. So I'm just saying at this point,
they're also in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Well, that's
where Bluter came from, though.
There's some.
Listen, I understand, but if we're talking about where we're going to go, how we played against the Missouri Valley Conference team is no bearings on what we're going to do when we're going to be playing freaking Oregon, who just beat. Who did they just beat? NC State? No, I don't remember who they just beat. They just beat somebody who's ranked in the top 10. Like, we're playing Juju Watkins. We're playing Ohio State.
Oh yeah,
great team. We're like. Drake has no bearings. That's what I'm saying. And as far as us being ready, we haven't gotten ready yet. Those teams are like, okay, all right, we did that. Okay, we did that. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's great. Now, playing a team where I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good win. Yeah, absolutely. That's where we're at.
So you're telling
we ain't done it yet.
That wasn't a good win today?
For the state of Iowa, sure.
So is that no, I'm not even talking about that. I don't care about that. That wasn't a good statement win early.
For who?
For Iowa. For I don't care if it's Iowa or it's no.
Nobody except for Iowa fans thinks that Iowa beating Drake is a good win. Nobody.
I disagree.
Any coach is like, you know what? That Iowa team is dangerous. They beat Drake. Drake is not. They're the Missouri Valley Conference. You're supposed to beat them like that. You're supposed to do that. Now, we beat Iowa State. That's different. I'd be like, oh, well, hell. We're going to the Sweet 16, baby. Like, yeah, that's different.
It may seem like I'm going after you, and I'm not trying to, but they're the overwhelming favorites in that conference. And it's historically a good women's basketball conference. That's all I'm saying. And to go on the road and do it, I don't care if it's Iowa or it's Indiana or it's Maryland. If they went on the road to the Knapp Center and won, I'd say, hey, that stands out in my mind. I'd be like, that's a pretty good win.
Let me tell you why.
Go ahead.
When Drake, right? We're talking Drake. We're talking the NCAA, right? When we're talking about going through the conference and looking at your schedule, right? The likelihood of Drake beating somebody that's actually going to matter is very slim. One, because their conference sucks. And two, because they're not playing anybody big time. Except Iowa State, there's some other people on there, I'm not gonna lie. But when we're talking about the grand scheme of things, they're not gonna care that Iowa beat Drake. We were supposed to throttle them. That was the point. But like I said, to Iowa fans who know how hard it is to play at Drake and know the back and forth and the history, to us, it's a big win. To the world, the blip on the radar. Nobody cares because you're supposed to do that. So in their mind, they're like, okay, Iowa went into Drake. They beat them. Great. Nobody cares. Now we go play Iowa State. Guaranteed that's going to be talked about because we're not supposed to beat them in the world. Let's be honest. We're not supposed to beat them. So now that's a win. That's a win. That's something that's going to matter. So when we talk about big wins, statement wins, that's not a statement win. That's a good job, guys. Great job. I like it because we're young and we fought through and we came out on top. Love that for us. It's a good camaraderie, a good thing for coaches to talk about in the locker room. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't help us.
So based on what you're saying, I would venture to say that 2 years ago, when Iowa went to the Knapp Center and it took overtime to beat Drake, I would venture to say that you left that game concerned. And let's not forget that was a team that eventually made it to the national.
Yes, I did. Sure did. Because I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, what? Now, again, I know as an Iowa Hawkeye how hard it is to play there. I'm aware. right? So I always know going into Drake, it's going to be fucking gauntlet. Never fails, right? So I'm aware of that. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, there's some things we got to clean up. Again, I'm happy that we pulled it out last year. That would have been a bad win, right? Or bad loss, right? Like, but at the same point in time, it didn't help us. Like, it wasn't a situation, even if we didn't, let's say we beat them by whatever, 20 plus, right? Wouldn't have mattered, right? It was more so just the fact that we barely beat them that people were actually talking about.